This is Trekland on the road, but you know what? We are finally live. But what of Lower Decks Star Trek? Yeah, today, finally, episode 282 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you right here, wherever we are. It's coming from the heart of Trekland, right through Portal 47, for some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek every week. Every week this Tuesday. So here we go. How is your Tuesday going, huh? How is your Tuesday going? Just if you're new to Tuesdays, pop in here. If you thought you weren't going to make it, you thought I wasn't going to make it, go ahead and pop in, say hi, introduce yourself if you're new to Tuesdays. And reminder that if you're on Facebook, you're only seeing the Facebook chat. But if you're on YouTube or even Twitch, you're seeing everything for now, all right? And let's hope that the folks who see this later can join us live at some time if you're watching later on YouTube. But hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. And lots of things going on in the world at large, as well as right here. We're just churning through our Star Treks and just having our little conversations and wondering what the new year is going to bring, right? But for right now, we're on Prodigy, and people are being, again, blown out of the water. A Borg show on Prodigy. There's all kinds of fan theorizing going on about what that Borg cube, spoilers, is going to mean, not just for Prodigy and for its characters, but maybe in the bigger world of Trek as well. I say all that because Lower Decks yes, just finished its season a couple of weeks ago. And what I wanted to do, and I do this from time to time when I'm remembering to do a newsletter. So good on me. I finally started my news list again. Never went away. It just, I got busy this year, unlike ever before. So if you're not on our list, just go to larrynimachek.com and jump on. There's even there's a freebie that I will send you that right now is paused just because we're going into open house. Yes, I said our open house. I have our guest. We just are waiting on the day. So I can't wait to tell you who's going to be our open house 7th anniversary for Portal 47. We mark the anniversary every year by opening the doors up live, having a guest come in. Can't wait to share with you who that is. I can't wait to figure out what day it will be. But later this month, as we've done for 6 years prior. But, and why did that come up with Lower Decks? I didn't mean to. It may not necessarily have anything to do with Lower Decks, aside from the fact of, are more folks actually paying attention to Prodigy? Is Prodigy finally starting to get its due? Because it felt like, again, with an overlapping season, Lower Decks didn't really get a finale hoo-ha. I know, talking about Cadet Alice and Prodigy and some of the increased attention, you'd never think that Lower Decks was starved for attention. But it just feels like it. I guess it's almost inevitable. Whenever we have any of the shows overlap their finales and their premieres, somebody gets a little shortchanged or they both do. So I wanted to do a questionnaire survey, take a poll on our Trekland list. And again, go to larrynimachek.com. You can get on it for next time. But I just want to do a sample and see where folks were with Lower Decks now that the whole season was ended, now that that's been 3 seasons in the can, 30 episodes, 30 half hours, and just see, because Lower Decks, in the era of controversy a week, which was basically 2016 through, I don't know, now, I feel like we're on snooze now. And that's not to say anything about the quality of the shows. That's about crazy fandom, thank God, has moved on from thinking there had to be something ginned up. People getting over the hump of realizing what the new era of TV, much less Star Trek, was going to look like, what streaming, what serialized storytelling, and how different paradigms can interact. Comics, gaming, books, and the TV. It's a new world. And what is it, the Latinum age now? What are we in? The Kurtzman era. Lower Decks, as many of you know, started off, oh, we can't do comedy. Oh, we can't. I'm not doing Rick and Morty Star Trek. I am not paying attention. I cannot stand to have my holy, holy, holy Star Trek universe subjected to mere jokes every week. Oh, why didn't Seth MacFarlane do that? Even Seth MacFarlane didn't do. I mean, we got it all. And as I've said before, I don't think anything in Star Trek, much less the 5 years, has snapped the scale, has done a whiplash on the attitude toward lower decks. It went from one of the most feared new concepts to one of the most embraced and beloved. And I know a lot of people don't appreciate, they don't get the humor of lower decks, and we've even surveyed for that too. In fact, we're still doing it. But what I wanted to know is there's a great swath of people who do enjoy it and who watch it. What's interesting is what's pushing the envelope of that attention? Where does that lie? So yeah, I did a survey, got it out with plenty of days, did it middle of last week to our list. And basically I said, now that season 3's over, what's your feeling about lower decks? And it wasn't just I like it, I don't like it. We had a spectrum on the I like it. And I'm bummed because I have to say, I did a typo in the newsletter, didn't catch it. So one of the options was unclickable. So it didn't show up in the standings. And I know if you look on Trekland Facebook, there's at least 4, 5, 6, 7 people or privately who have told me that's my choice and I couldn't click on it. So they click something else or they whatever. It's kind of in the wishy middle. So it's not like it's going to skew anything one way or the other. Some of the extreme answers, and maybe this was you, and maybe you're going to sound off here. But basically, I had options ranging from I enjoy it like I enjoy all the Treks, to it's my favorite of all the modern series, which is 5 now, all the way to I don't get it, it's not funny to me, or I watch it, but it's no big deal, all the way to it is my favorite Star Trek of all time, which I've heard people live tell me face to face at times, which I get because it's actually honoring all the Treks if you watch. Remember the folks that said they were ignoring DS9? Yeah, I remember them too. Silly fan kids. So here's how this breakdown went. Again, with the caveat that one of the answers was it's in my top 3 or 4 of all time, which is a niche. That's the interesting thing about this is people have their layers. It's like an old Jello 1, 2, 3. Look it up. So here's how it broke down, which was kind of a little surprising here. Yeah. So going from no one this time around answered I'd like to watch it, but I'm unable to for tech or money or whatever situation. So everybody that answered had an opinion based on that. I had no one also answered I don't get it, it's not funny option. No one, 0, said that I watch it, but it's low on my favorites. Okay. I mean, I'd love to go back and get how we didn't sample exactly this question to question, but we had at least after a year or during the first year, we did some kind of a survey. I need to go back and find those. So finally, we get up to I just enjoy it like all the other Treks. Let me take that back. Had one person out of this sample, which was about 3% of everybody on my list. So it's small, but there you go. It's probably a larger sample than some of these political polls recently have been based on. Had one person say it's my favorite of all the Treks, which was interesting. I think I probably had 6 or 7 at least say it's in my favorite 3 or 4, but we didn't go there. We did have 7 say I enjoy it. I watch it, but it's low on my favorites. 6 people, 14%. Okay. I take that back. We did have 2 that said they were unable to watch tech-wise. 6% said, or 6 people, 14% said I watch it, but it's low on my tracks. Really, the biggest chunks were these top two. 15 people, 34%, so over a third, said it was their favorite of all the modern Treks. There you go. And the slightly bigger chunk, another slightly big third, nearly 40%, said they just enjoy it like all the others. It's like my famous D when I do the hands up polling at cons and we go through and see what people's favorites are. And it's a D, all the above. Don't make me choose. So the biggest chunk are people that 40% didn't have a clear favorite. It's just in the mix of all the Trek they do enjoy. But the next batch, a third of my list said it was their favorite of all the modern shows. So there you go. Then it jumps down to, again, about 14% said they watch it, but it's low on their Trek. So I'm still trying to understand, because I don't know about you all. You jump in chat and let's talk about this. But I think this is, I don't want to say unique among all the Treks. It feels like people either tend to like one or tend to not, or things are, things. I mean, sorry, but I think in the big picture, over time, Strange New Worlds right now is more popular than Discovery and Picard, with the third season reunion yet to be seen, with Picard somewhere kind of in the wishy middle. And I still feel like Prodigy just hasn't been seen by a lot of people to be aware of it. They think, oh, it's the kids show, and don't know how insane it's getting. So that may radically start shifting now. We keep having Borg shows, and Aaron Walke has talked something about Romulans in the back end, and now there's all kinds of talk about the Romulan Borg connection from Picard popping up, which is still a few years away, but the backstory of Picard season 1 and the artifact cube would have been, I mean, there's chatter about that, and it's fascinating. And Aaron even kind of threw a little gasoline on that in a small way. Oh, that could be. This is an interesting theory, because they've done 40 episodes, gang. They've done 40. So it's not like this is a story that's being wobbled around. They've done 30 with the last 10 in process. So the basic narrative of Prodigy is pretty much laid down, unless we're talking about some really deep cuts further down the road. But no, it's like Lower Decks went from universal wariness to universal love, to the Easter eggers clipping everything from week to week. Hasn't been such an Easter eggy season for visuals. We didn't have the Trebalian Trade Council or whatever, but and then the season ended up so fast. I don't know that I saw a lot of discussion about it or saw a lot of fan love, but people love memeing and clipping Lower Decks. And I think they've pioneered a way, a lot like, say, MASH, live action, I know, but a lot to be able to have serious, even among the jokes and even among the personal arcs of the characters. And it's only being 23 minutes of story, bundling together the tone of the show and making it accessible to people, understanding it and liking it. And then the character arcs and development. And there is a lot of that for almost all the characters now after 30 episodes, but also some stakes in the greater Star Trek universe. The idea that a Klingon renegade warlord was supplying the Packlids. Packlids were on the surface the perfect villain for, underachieving villain for underachieving a series. But then you see how they're not underachieving and how the broader world is tying in. And yay for T'Lyn from the Vulcan outcast from her science ship, coming in as a provisional officer on the Cerritos. That will be interesting, bringing the Vulcan comic potential to Strange New, to Lower Decks. But I don't know if any one of the other episodes, it feels like there's pretty much a preponderance feeling about every other series. And I don't want to say Lower Decks, black and white, love, hated. I'm talking about the spectrum of where people are with Lower Decks, which may be simplifying. But that's what this poll was about. And for a fourth to say it's in there, but for a third to say it's their favorite of the last five. That's interesting. I'm just curious what you all say. Hey, everybody, I'm on the road, as if you can't tell. So I was keeping it a little simple this week, but you know what? We're going to be very simple. We're going to keep this to an hour again, the standard way now. But guess what? There is no, and I looked. Normally we look at the Parrot Analytics ratings. So there's none of that. There's none of that. So there's nothing new. There's no updates on the single shows. Everything is just as it was the last time we checked in. So I think they're doing twice a week. They're looking at breakout shows every other week, but that's not what we're up to looking for. So parrotanalytics.com, we usually take a check in on that. Not going to do it this week. Let's just see what's going on. I just want to jump right to our chat, and then we will wrap up at the end. And yes, there will be a version of this for the YouTubers. Maybe we'll get into something controversial in the chat. But otherwise, I hope everybody's doing well. If you're in the States and you haven't gone to vote yet, you've still got time. If you're watching this later, too late, maybe next time. And I didn't bring my voted sticker with me from Saturday, but it's online. Let's see. Let us see. And see how, of course, see how everybody is around the globe, too. Live from Hollywood. Hey, Anne-Marie, live from Hollywood. Not exactly. A little further north. A little further north. Bay Area. And no, I'm not visiting Ali, just in case anybody's wondering about that. But it's good to see everybody. If you are new here, again, jump in, introduce yourself. We'll see what's going on. Hey, it's Fraser, everybody. John Fraser from Star Trek Unlimited, the home of the coolest geeky Trek merch anywhere, formerly of Think Geek, but now totally unrestrained. There you go. Thank you, Dave, for remembering everybody over on the Twitch side. Yay. Nice new office. Well, I'm just borrowing it a little. I didn't bring anything aside from the cover, computer cover, with the hashtag stack. But it's good to see everybody. Glad you could make it along with us. I did not want to do, my new faux background. I just, the virtual backgrounds, as good as they can be and as strongly as you can light, they still have that ghosty effect. And I just hated that. It was when I was, in COVID lockdown, when I was in isolation, I just got so tired of having the virtual background. I really did. You tried to vote on my poll. The links were wonky. There's one that was off. I'll have to go back and check it out. So I apologize for that. I did get several people in there. 50 people voted at least. Hi, Mona. It's glad to have you back with us. I know you've been in before. I'm looking for actual questions. So we will see. Oh, hey, Alan. Good to see you. I know you've missed us for a while here. Why can't I get you up? Is it too long? How did you do that? There you go. This is interesting, David. I don't know how you did. I mean, Alan, I don't know how you did it, but thank you, Mona. Thank you for jumping in. We'll do this again sometime, and I'll do it with other series at times. I'm really trying to get back to having my email be more, not to spam everybody, but to have it be regular. And we are hitting open house time and holiday time. And I'll have a gift offer, a special gift offer or two this season like normal. But I do want to get back to where twice a month is regular and not oppressive. So, Alan, it was foggy in Dallas to see it, but a lot of live streamers were showing off the blood moon. I was totally out of it. I didn't realize we were back around to a blood moon cycle, but I'm glad you got to see it. Hmm. Oh, Narda, you cannot get your hubby into any animation style. Bugs and Daffy. Well, Prodigy and Lower Decks are vastly different styles too. Lower Decks is 2D. So, hey, Frage. Yes, Lower Decks is like sitting with your friends, having a few drinks, and playing with our favorite Star Trek action figures. Yeah, or like doing bar trivia. Everybody going, having Trek debates. It's a lot that way. It's a lot that way. Hey, Scott. Hey, you made it! Yay. Let's see. Well, Glenn, your response to the poll would have been that it's tied with Prodigy for the second best of the new Trek series behind Strange New Worlds. But it's also behind TOS and DS9. Well, so then you're kind of in the big middle. That's fine. Yep. Let's see. Yes, your comments are being federated out to them, guys. You YouTubers. And thanks for being there, Mona. You come in right from wherever you can. Hi, Tim. It's only temporary. It's just for this week. We are on the road. We're house sitting, actually. So today we're doing Vaseline on the lens. Look, gang, I don't know what it is, but Restream's camera access has been very buggy. So normally I have a virtual lens that I can do all kinds of effects with and make it perfect. It's called eyeglasses, and it's been fighting me at home. And it was fine. The reason I know it's buggy is because it works sometimes and doesn't work, and then sometimes Restream on the road isn't finding a camera at all. So I apologize for the delays today. It was fine the last couple of days when I tested, and then I got on this morning, and of course it was being very buggy. So I'm just glad to be here at all, Vaseline and all. I'll just say that. It was getting so late that it's like we got to get whatever is tenuously connecting, and let's go. Well, Brian, see, this is the thing. I always allow that and say it's just not my cup of tea. I don't like the humor. I mean, I don't let them be. I mean, it's a pre-worded answer and they click it. So I don't let anybody be abusive. And I also have the eternal, I'm unable to access it. And I just, whether that's by tech or by affordability, I just keep it, I am unable to. So it's like, like voting present or abstaining. Mona, you don't know what your favorite Trek is. Well, as long as you have one, I'm that way. There's something about lists. That's why it's easy for me to give people 8 options when basically they just say, I like it. It's like, okay, where are you on the like scale? On the like spectrum? That's easy. That's the way I am. People who can absolutely rank things, I'm just amazed. Don't ask me what my favorite movie of all time is, or even, thankfully over 30 years, I was able to say what my favorite original series is. And then we started cranking out new series, and oh my God, and they haven't had time to settle for 20 years. How am I supposed to figure this out? Aha, Christoph. You binged Lower Decks 2 and 3 the last 4 evenings, and it's still your fave current Trek. Okay, well, see, there we go. There we go. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. It's your second favorite, the first being Bear Twitch. Okay, what had just happened here? There we go. Yeah, Twitch can see, supposed to, yes. Well, congratulations, John. You figured out that we've had folks for the last couple of years anyway, going over to populate Twitch in case the 12-year-olds run through and feel insulted because I'm not talking right to them every second of the day, or it looks a little slow. Yes, aside from the fact that you don't see the YouTubers, and sometimes the YouTubes are where people show up new. I'll just say that. Most new folks that come by are over there. All of the current treks. Come on. No, there. Being wonky, kids. All of the current treks managed to get your wife, the non-trekker, to watch. So what you're saying is she was never interested in watching the originals and the Berman era, which could just be a factor of prejudice against old TV. And sorry guys, Enterprise will be 20 years old at its ending. The new digital Enterprise will be 20 years old in 3 years for its finale. And heaven forbid I bring up the finale. But there you go. There you go. And see, once you're in, then people's curiosity overcomes their initial aesthetic reaction. Or the IAR, as we call it in the punditry class, the initial aesthetic reaction. There you go. Thank you, Bill. Scott, what do you say? Objectively, Strange New Worlds is your favorite, but Lower Decks is always such fresh air that it's the one you miss the most when the season is over. That's interesting. You miss Lower Decks later more than you do Strange New. Interesting. Yes, you guys bopping over. I'm glad. I'm very glad that John is in today. Yay. I don't know. Should I regret the fact that we're not having a controversy of the week that I can? I'm not going to stir it up. I tried to calm them down. It just felt like we had more people upset back then. You love all the Easter eggs in Lower Decks. I hope you have a basket big enough for them, Mona. Now, what are you saying here, Glenn? Discovery and Picard have both proven it's possible to have as many filler episodes in a 10, 15 episode seasons as there used to be in the 22, 26s. Yeah. Overwhelmingly 26 eps. Sad that this is true. It's like the mushy middle of the season. It's like they think about how they want to get out there and they know how they want to wrap it up, and it's the middle that is, again, it's transferring Star Trek to streaming serial. And I think, just circling around. I'm sharing a room with a critter even. I think it's just all part of that's just getting it down, which is why I think I said last week Prodigy might be, Strange New doesn't try to be, Lower Decks has basic arcs like Strange New, but they don't think themselves. Prodigy's obviously telling a serialized story. They may be the best at it. But I don't want to swell Aaron and Hageman Brothers' heads too much. I think this is where a lot of people were, Michael. It took some it took some getting used to early on. People had to get over the hump of it, the filter for it, but then boom, there it is. I always compare it to sitting down for a Shakespeare play, and it takes you a few minutes to get your ears back into Shakespearean verse and just the worldview of the scene. By the end of the show, you're totally hanging with everybody. Hopefully. The last few Shakespeares in the park, independent Shakespeare here in LA, have all been that way. Within 2 or 3 minutes, you're into the rhythm of it all. Oh, Dave, what are you saying? Lower Decks scratches an itch for you. A looser take on Trek than what? Yeah. But it's. I said a long time ago, it's like Lower Decks works because we've had internet memes of Trek we've had Facebook internet memes for the last 10, 12 years. I think it does better now than it would have even done 15 years ago. I cut you off. There you go. Okay. Speaking from West Austria, Christoph. Oh, you still can't watch Strange New Worlds legally, so you can't admit knowing it. But it's only 1 month. Later in the year is almost here. I know, the joke. The European Portales know what we're talking about. When is it coming? Later in the year. Later in 2022. This has just turned into therapy session, everybody. So this is what I do for having a light topic. Hey, Melanie. I'm on a tiny screen. Did I mention that? For Discovery, it took a while to get into it, but it got better and better. This is true. Oh, it's definitely gotten better each season. It's like it's had to be a whole new series each season. It's like the tone keeps shifting. They've had such a character turnover. Go back to when you were all trying to figure out who Georgiou's crew was. Before you realize you'd only see them for 2 shows. Before you realize some of them would cycle back. Sam, I'm looking at you. You liked the first season of Picard. See, this is the kind of thing we're going to be having these discussions, debates, if you will, for ages. But you enjoyed first season of Picard better than second. There you go. But it does leave the third season open for more adventures with the new Borg Queen. Yeah, but I think that's not going to be the focus. It looks like it's going on. Whatever it is that, I sort of say Gates, whatever it is that Crusher is in the middle of and initiates the reunion, not so much concerned that it'll be bound up with that. But there you go. People may wind up looking at Picard the same way I look at Discovery. Well, it was like a different series every season. Well, we'll see. Oh, hey, good for you, Mona. You worked early voting for 8 days. And glad you're not working today. Good on you for still volunteering. And I hope it was not a risk to life and limb to go volunteer to work at the polls again. Prepare for Warp 10 merch. That's awesome, phrase. You can you can always tantalize us here. And when I get guest capacity, we'll get back there. Keith, hello. Good to see you again. What are my thoughts, Tim Hands, on serialized V's? Hold on a second. This lighting to give me some definition. So you think this is fuzzy? Serialized V's episodic Star Trek. I'm not sure I'm with you. Serialized V's? Voyagers? I'm V'gers? I'm a little I'm confused. Maybe you can straighten me out. I'll move on because Frage is saying, well, this has been on my mind. I've been a little distracted the last few days when everything has kept falling apart, and I'm not going to leave Twitter, at least for a while. But I saw some of this flying by. I'm definitely going to at least try it out. And there was another. See, Mastodon came up first. I mentioned it like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, along with another one that secretly turned out was not so great. And I thought I'd read about a third one the other day. But Mastodon seems to be an early pending site, an early bullpen. So yeah, I'll come looking fairly soon. I've got so much stuff in my face right now. And I missed the setup here. Oh, an actual question, Christoph. Apart from Prodigy, do you expect any new Trek before Picard season 3 starts in February 17? I don't think so. And then I was hearing that it will definitely be Strange before Discovery, as far as the order goes. Because Discovery is just now wrapping up their 10th episode live action filming. So that's kind of the order. And you really need to pin these. I miss the old days when everything wrote and shot at the same time. It made it so simple. Plus, those live action shows are all on Canada time, and who knows what that is. I'm kidding. But no, I don't think so. We've got a few. I think there may be, yeah, because what would squeeze in there? We may actually have some weeks without. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. And oh, apparently this was a national. There you go. Central California and North Texas, both foggy, cloudy today. This is a thing, and I didn't promote this, but yes, Michael, they're having this free month of Paramount Plus with the code for Lower Decks. Oh, oh, you're Canadian. Okay, that didn't factor in. Yeah, cast your vote for even more Lower Decks. Lower Decks, Lower Decks. Does anybody else have a chant? Big card, big card. See, it doesn't quite work. Well, we should house sitting for good friends, so it's not like it's a strange house. I've been here many times. Hey, Dominic, you were listening on your bike, but now you're home or you're still on your bike? But anyway, good to see you. And I forget where you are in the world physically, if you want to share that. Oh, Narda, are you asking what I think you're asking me? If I could pick a new live action Trek, where would it be set and what would be its main focus? Oh, Narda, haven't you heard me say this a million times? I want a Romulan War Birth of the Federation. I want it on canon. I want it established finally. Pick a version and go with it. Or make like Nick Meyer and pull 5 together and make mush out of that. But I'd like that first. Then after that, I would like a mid-century show. Well, I take this back. Or this could be an overlap. What I would like is a Star Trek West Wing. I'm quoting there. What I'd like is something that's set at Federation headquarters. So you got all the Federation headquarters, the council, and the bureaucracy, but you've got all the different member worlds represented, the aliens, but you're not just stuck there, because if there's a crisis out on some planet, you bop off. And sometimes it's a civilian thing, sometimes it's military. Hell, we could even have some star battles. We can even have some pew pew with some of our civilians, and there would be some, and that would overlap Starfleet Command. That would, whoever's the commanding admiral could be part of this. But the main thing is to let's find a doable way to see the vast mix of all the cool a little bit like the taste you got. Well, the grandfather of all this is Journey to Babel, but then you got a little taste of it. Heaven forbid, you got a taste of it in the 32nd century on Discovery when everybody came together. Now, they had to focus on the 5 or 6 main characters. You got the window dressing of all the aliens, but you didn't get into anything nuts and bolts really. And they were voting on this black-white question with apparently no abstentions. I forgot now. And that was a very simple, but you at least got a taste of it. I want to see that all the time, and maybe not necessarily with the goofy floating screens, but real care. I mean, if you want to say Babylon 5-ish, okay, Babylon 5-ish, that just hit me. And that was still just 3 or 4 major. I mean, I would set this up. But again, you have the capacity not to be stuck on Earth. Get to outliers. Does anybody else get tired of everything being so Earth-centric and human-centric? I would like to explore that. You don't have to have a burn to get into that. Or if not, then what compensates for that? I'd love to see that series. Now, that series could be set now in the modern era, right? The latest year of Picard currently. Or you could go back and do it historically. But, I mean, can we stay out of the 2260s? Can we stay out of original series era? Can we just please not go there? In fact, could we do it? My other idea is to have mid-Archer Kirk and mid-Kirk Picard. I would love to have something in the middle of those centuries. I used to say, let's do the launch of the launch of the Enterprise. But yeah, that got Pike is now kind of close. Not really. It's still 15 years off. But I wanted to see, I used to say I wanted to see Captain April and Dr. Sarah April and everybody doing that. But Rhyme of the War, founding the Federation first, and then after that, I'd love to see a West Wing set in some time period, or even a Starship-based Explororama series set, mid Archer Kirk in the early 2200s, or mid Kirk Picard set in the early 2300s. The Black Ops thing is feeling like it might be Section 31-ish. I never was. That was always out there for the action gang, and I never was like, okay, fine. In a mix of shows now, I would see it, but in the old days of put all your eggs in one basket for 7 years, no, I didn't want to go there. If it'll work. Yeah, I'm just thinking, Michael, aren't Crave or the other one, aren't they doing some kind of promotion? That's sad if they're not. Of course, everything's a different dynamic. Touche, Mona, touche. The YouTubes. Sounds like a great name for a 2020 sitcom. Glenn, it would have to be British. It would have to be independent British, ITV or something. Thames or something. Or am I showing my age there? I don't think it would be a BBC sitcom, like the IT crowd, the IT crowd. See here. You like Lower Decks now that there's a USS San Jose, and a USS Berkeley wouldn't hurt. And how about the USS El Cerrito? Too confusing. The USS El Cerrito. Oh, I guess so. Yes, it would be too confusing. Take 605 to South Street, Cerritos Auto Square. Hey, Dominic. Okay. Ooh, big one. Waited so long, glad I'm finally here. The last 3 Trek files have been fire. Oh, well, thank you. Big fan. You're a real Trekophile, spelled with an F. Thank you. That music cue comes and they end so soon. Oh, well, thank you for that. We need to get you on the Mission Log Discord page. I'm still waiting on favorite new Trek. I love it all. Well, John invited me over. I'm just not a Discord person. I should be. We even thought about using Discord for a Trek Files. I know you're going to yell at me. Why not? And maybe we wind up going there. I just can't get into Discord on top of everything else. It's just, I have to go there, and then there are all the categories to follow, and I know it's a lot of folks' dream place, but that's kind of why, with Twitter falling away, I'm a little disappointed. Twitter imploding. The kind of conversations you can have in there. A lot of people love that, and maybe I'll finally see the light and finally get my brain wired right. But thank you for those kind words. That's very sweet. Oh, I didn't see your whole thing. You're still waiting on your favorite new Trek. You love it all. This is still Dominic talking on his long post, which can't all show on here. There's no such thing as bad Star Trek. Some is just better than the others. I will admit you've recently come out as loving stand ones more than arcs, and that TOS is still my heart. I'm loving stands more than arcs. You mean like characters more than the story arcs? And that nothing wrong with TOS still being your heart. I think our Gen Z doesn't quite get it, but then again, they need to watch a lot more TV and cinema from besides right now, and maybe that will broaden a little bit. Hey, Kyle, it's been a while, I think. How do I think Lower Decks would have been perceived in the time of TOS or TNG? Obviously less references, but could it have worked in a different era? Well, snarky animation of any kind. Would Adult Swim have worked in the 60s and 70s? Would anything, all the pioneers of what they pioneered, Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Sea Lab 2021 are all parodies of the straight cartoons of the time, right? Which kind of includes Star Trek, although they kind of pushed the envelope a little bit gingerly. Kirk is a jerk. They even had a couple of humorous, music cues. What was like, something. The original series, a humorous music cue would have been the Scotty theme, or something light and simple that you'd hear in Tribbles, or a piece of the action. I don't think, how would it have been perceived? I think you're having to take a time trip, because I don't think it organically would have come up, because there was nothing, nobody else was parodying with animation in the 60s and 70s. I don't think, I'm seeing her, that it was mass market that would have been commercial enough to be on a network. I think it's a moot point. I think it's now. I think from the 90s onward, and I think the snark push back to the grimness of 9/11. I think the last 20 years we've gotten so cynical that it's made it easy. But everything was still very straightforward and true blue in the 60s, and TV animation was just a challenge in itself. Hand drawn, and the cheap versions versus theatrical, like Disney pioneered, and everybody else, not just Disney, Warner Brothers, obviously. So yeah, I think it's more the overall tone than the specifically are they doing Easter eggs and things. So, but that's a good, interesting thing there. Nathaniel, in some ways, Lower Decks is the 5th season of Enterprise we never got. It goes over all the unanswered questions and side stories, much like what Manny Coto was doing. I was just thinking about that the other day, the last couple of days, and thinking Manny and Mike Sussman and Gar and Judy, that circle of people were they were the first ones to start looking at Star Trek meta, I'm going to say. Maybe this should be a topic for the future. But I'm just going to say, yes, my mind was actually on this lately. And it's more about, it's an outgrowth of what Lower Decks is doing, and even still more than the other shows. Although Strange New has been more adept at revisiting things for its own purposes. I'm sure you're not alone here, Dave. Your love for a series is mood dependent, or if you're binging it straight through, well, who is not chomping for the bit for a lot more Strange New Worlds? Your only disappointment, Mona, is you still haven't seen a Picard Prodigy crossover? You mean like seeing a character pop up, or seeing... Oh, you mean the series? Well, Prodigy, if you mean Picard the series, Prodigy is 6, 7, 8 years ahead of even the flashbacks of Picard. And it's basically 20 years ahead of the mainstream of Picard. So a lot of those Picard events, with the Romulans and the artifact and even the synth attack on Mars, a lot of those things are in Prodigy's future, and we may see they may play a role, as some of the theorizing is going around now, right? Hey, Adrian, good to have you back with us. And you are missed too. Glad you could be here. Phrase, what's saying here? Some very upset trolls when Pike affected his pirate Yar face. I think there are some who want their Trek to be super serious. Well, Strange New was silly around the edges way before that moment. There's banter. There's Spock McCoy type banter going on in Strange New Worlds. I think the super serious fans are also mad at Melissa Navia. They're mad at that Captain Helm banner going on. What does she get away talking about that? Well, we're gonna find that out, apparently. Why? Oh, hi, Stephanie. Yay. Um, Good talking with you this last week about maybe some cruise tours. See, this is what. Oh, hi, Toyota Tacoma. Strange New and Lower Decks feel weirdly similar. You really get the sense that the former took some influence from the latter. I think so, but you know what? The entire setup of Strange New was meant to be let's do a standalone episodic show again. And Henry Alonzo Myers is so quiet, but he's a little bit like Terry Matalas is right now, doing third season Picard. Um, but he's really being understated. He's not out there carving out a social media personality. But I think a lot of what you say is something that a lot of people have been dying to do for a long time. And Discovery was not the place to do it. Discovery has like blurred out funny moments, like that's the power of science and that kind of thing. Yes, Becca, you made it. And by the way, all the European Portales, I'll be here tomorrow. We will have European midday Ask Dr. Trek in Portal 47 tomorrow. Oh, versus the V. Now I don't even remember what the conversation was. That's a ways back. Here we go. I've circled around. You're saying serialized and episodic. Well, now I've totally forgotten the context, aside from seeing the big V there. Yeah. The capital V is what threw me. You actually wrote at the grocery store. Well, Dominic, I really appreciate your sacrifice to TTL with us today. Well, Mona, you know what? There are a lot of people jonesing for some more disco. I'm really curious to see disco this year from some rumblings I've heard about it. It may be the 5th series, reincarnated, but yeah, I'm excited to see what they can get out of it this time. Slightly different tone again. A little bit more madcap. I don't want to say madcap, but something where the overall arc of the series of the season may not be quite so into the university the way they've been, which is the tendency, the temptation. Justin, you're talking about old timers. How many of us old timers remember when the greatest debates we had were which episodes were liked with 1 or 2 series going? Now it's come down to 10 series and a whole plethora of eps to choose from. Well, sorry. I'm sorry Star Trek is a survivor. I'm sorry there's 800 hours of Star Trek. Still, Star Wars. Star Wars is madly catching up, but they're not going to do it on 10-episode live actions. Maybe eventually with animation. We'll see. Well, Rebecca, this is very telling. I really should end that season, that serialized season. Wonder why I stopped. Well, those are both damning. The fact that you did stop in the middle and now you can't even remember why. Probably when you fell asleep locked in that evidence locker, that massive set that they spent so much money on. Well, Narda, we'll see. It's a weird world out there. We'll see what happens. I even saw some people lately talking about that MySpace was still alive and people are actually using them. Can you sign up for the free month of Paramount when you already subscribe? I don't think so. I think it's mainly to get new folks in. You'd have to quit and then come back and you'd be disrupted. And there you go. Oh, hi, Dominic. You're in Portland. Good deal. Be safe up there, man. West Wing Trek. Yes, although it would be Star Trek : West Wing, which will never happen because West Wing was the name of that. Yeah, I know. They need to build the Federation Capitol building where the council actually meets. They need to build that as a set that has, instead of a West Wing and an East Wing like the White House has, they should have upper floor and lower floor. So it'd be Star Trek floor upper. Okay, Christoph. In the old days, how long did it take from starting or wrapping the shooting to the screen? Oh, wasn't it short enough to comment on current-ish events? Okay, let's see. Well, it depended where, because sometimes if you would start shooting, say in May, and you wouldn't have May or June, July. You wouldn't have to debut until September. So there'd be 3 or 4 months. But if there was a batch, say like the last one before the holidays, and you took 2 weeks off, that last one might be airing in 6 weeks instead of 3 months. There would be some give and take. But basically, also the fact that all the shows would be in the same frame. Everybody would be shooting with the writers would come back in May-ish and then start shooting in June, July-ish and run through March-ish, and then you'd have March, April, May off or something. That's kind of the way, but they would all be in the same frame. But that's the way it was. Sometimes if it was something happened and somebody died and you would want to dedicate it, well, that would be post. So if somebody died a week before your show was going to air, you could slap in a title card at the last second. But that's about the only reacting to real world events I can think of in the old days. Well, Mona, you and me both then. I'm being selfish. I just want the damn thing settled once and for all. Like we've got these, we've got the converging ideas and the details of what the war was like and the founding and who was there and who was doing what. Somewhere I want something beyond books and beyond Okudagram screens and beyond my parody page that was never meant to be seen. What are you saying here, Nathaniel? I saw you wrote an article on the filming of Trials and Tribulations. My favorite thing I ever wrote. Easiest thing I ever wrote. Do you remember if people were aware of Voyager's anniversary and they were trying to better it? Oh, yes. But it was more like the charge, Rick said, both series, let's mark the 30th anniversary with a special episode. And at the time, Voyager was into that whole, the last 4 episodes, UPN, remember Voyager was UPN? UPN was wanting to start their seasons earlier than the other networks to get a jump. So the first time they got caught, nobody told them. Jerry and Michael were so mad that they held back 4 first season shows. The 37s was supposed to be a season ender, not a season opener, because it really felt like the end of season 1. Now we're going to be a little bit bigger. And it really kind of started off a little weirdly claustrophobic for season 2. But the second go round of the 4 that were meant to be holdovers, Flashback, which was Voyager's 30th anniversary show, right? With Tuvok and Sulu and the Excelsior and Janeway and Rand. That was meant to be in the fall, and it was shown in the fall, but it was actually shot in the spring and with its kind of attitude. And that's why Trials and Tribulations had the whole summer to discover, to have it come up, the Forrest Gumping, that they could do it on their time and budget. And then they had the summer to work on. Greg Jean could build those models live action still. The big K7 and a half-size Enterprise and actually a Klingon D7. But they had the summer to work on that and locate all the props and set dressing or fabricated and hunt down sources. They had the break to do that. So they was shot in the fall. Now they were both shown around anniversary time in the fall, but October, November, something. But yeah. And just the writers' rooms getting together, what would be cool to honor past Star Trek, the original series or its movies or something. Well, you get a very big insight into both series, Voyager versus DS9, by what they both came up with to honor the original cast, the 30th anniversary. I think it's totally telling where everybody was coming from. And we can talk about that more sometime, but that's it. So yeah, if people, you mean the DS9 staff, were trying to better it, it wasn't so much a contest. It was just where's their heart and their fanishness, and yeah, that's where it came from. And it was still cool. They were able to pull most of the Excelsior bridge set was still in storage, and it was what was it 4 years later? It was in storage, and a lot of them they were able to pull out and recreate that set, which was a huge time saver. Which certainly was proved to be a time saver. Yeah, pew pew. I hate that term, but I do it so people know what I'm talking about. You can't just say space battles anymore. How did that Birth of the Federation get skipped over in canon shows? Well, what can I say? People weren't interested. There was a lot of, nobody wanted to go backwards, or they didn't want to recreate 60s pajama trek or whatever it was. Yeah. Mid-Archer Kirk, yes. Mona, you're just really enthusiastic today. Your choice for new live action series would be something set halfway between the heydays of the Excelsior and the Ambassador. There you go. It doesn't have to be the Bozeman, but this is what I mean, see? What are you saying, Mona? Well, I take more of an active role as advisor in the shows, Larry. When they have me? There's lots of good folks in there. And you know what? Dayton is advising content and licensing and things on this. JV John Van Sitters is there too to throw a lot of spice in the whether they're on Paramount paychecks or they're getting I did too in the old days, but we would pitch shows. I didn't say, oh, you should do whatever. I used to yell about having a making of the Enterprise was such a shock because I never thought they would ever go back and get out of the 24th century, because after the investment in sets and props and costumes they had, digital assets or models, as well as I didn't think it'd ever break up and go to a radically different era. So I was so thrilled with Enterprise. I was so mad at the people that were upset about it. Here you go, Toyota, or Toy, if I may say so. Streaming original movie 2 decades after Enterprise. Now what? You want to see more of the era? There's no need for a series there. Oh, why do you say that? A movie? What do you mean? What's the alternative to a series? A movie? Well, a movie is just 2 hours. Why chop it off at 2? It's all good. It's all good. The Adventures of the Shakar Resistance. Is animated or live action? I don't know. I almost don't want to. I really don't want to go retread anything we've seen already. I want to go to the unexplored corners in time and space. Oh, I hate doing this on the laptop. Oh, Stingray, you're with us. If they announce a spinoff of the next Star Trek set around rumored Janeway, Seven and Picard Next Gen return time era, do you see the production in California or Canada when that cast travel up north? I have been told that Picard was in LA only due to Patrick and not wanting to travel, and the COVID only made it worse. That everything from now on will be in Canada because it's 4 or 5 times less expensive. It's 4 or 5 times more expensive to shoot in LA than Toronto, which is sad and maddening and angrifying, but that's the way it is. And if it's that bad, I don't blame studio. Why do that? I'm so glad all these Canadian professionals are getting a job. It's just sad that Star Trek is not in California and LA, where it was conceived and built, and that vibe is not there. That just is intangible. Paramount Plus is totally geolocked with accounts. Yeah. Well, thank you, Narda. It's what I've said for years. So it's always glad to have people on your side. Yay. Maybe I should start a commentary show and share that. The YouTube's coming to E4. There you go. Oh, hello. There we go. You have a bone to pick with the Lower Decks finale. One of the ships was the Pacific Palisades where you grew up, but it's not a city in California. I know. I thought of that. It'd be like having the USS North Hollywood or the USS Tahunga. It's a community in LA, not a city. It's not an independent city. So, well, what that means is, Nathaniel, that at some point between now and the 24th century, Palisades goes independent. It incorporates. Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's before or after the what's the earthquake? What LA geography is the I've gone blank. Is the earthquake in 2047? Well, this would be, I don't know, Tim, this almost feels like it runs the risk of doing what Ron did with, what was it? Caprica in the Battlestar universe. It was very domestic and home-based, and nobody wanted to watch it because it wasn't pew-pew enough, I guess. Yeah. Plus, that would, I mean, there's a little bit of demystifying. At some point, people are trying to get to that. What am I saying here? You can't do all the socials. Well, if Twitter's imploding. Oh yeah, Discord. Discord's not really social, I feel like. It's just a glorified message board with a horrible name. Why would anybody want to go join into Discord? See, I love the ambassador class ships. I just think they're part of that stems from being the underdog of not being seen much. Wait, what now? I got a shout out from Rod and Stephanie on the NX7062 podcast. What's the NX7062 podcast? Is this something I'm supposed to know? But yay. Cool. Oh, okay, Susan. I just remember wasn't Thames Monty Python's producer? It was somebody's producer that I'd watch a show from. It's just ITV now. There we go. Oh, you guys are just really grilling me today, these questions. Do I see the Section 31 series actually getting off the ground? Been rooting against it. Well, this is the mix. This is why I really hope. It depends on who's doing it and running it. Now, see, I totally trusted. I had reservations about it too, but I can see if it's more of a Man from U.N.C.L.E. or a Mission Impossible type show, tongue in cheek maybe, than it is just, dead on 24, where it's just ongoing carnage and we're the good guys and they're the bad guys and we never, But since it was Boy and Erica, since it was Boy and Erica writing the pilot and developing it at first, I had high hopes for it because I knew, even though they were attached to the early discoveries, I knew they were like the Ron Moore who wanted to go off and do a great thing and finally had to go off and do it themselves because they, at the time and place, they were, what's the word? They were pushing back against the limits that they were under. They wanted to go and do all these cool things and they were kind of being throttled back a little. Still wrote great shows in their active time. So I don't know where it stands and who's going to be developing it now. I don't, whether they come back. They've gone off and done their own shows, and maybe that's another aspect of the delay. It's kind of murky. We'll see. It'll be another interesting story when it finally all gets done. But yeah, the driver has been Michelle's schedule. Who was it? It was Tim Peel shared with us in Portal that there was actually 2.5 months of pre-production working on Section 31 before they pulled the plug and pivoted and started developing Strange New Worlds. So yeah, people were actually being paid to work on it for a while. Hey, you resent that remark. You're Gen Z and TOS is right behind you. So that's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm just going by, at least, I don't even say the noisy. I don't see it. Nobody's militant, but I see frustration, which is interesting because it's 50, 60 years away and people don't have a younger viewers don't have a cultural tie memory of that, or the 70s even, and the 80s. So I kind of get that. And, and they see Next Generation as looking really old and dated. Still beloved in a lot of ways, but still old and dated. Which is why the new look at DS9 as the series that's lasted the best. Well, that would be it. That would be it, if it's that really a mystery. Arguing is futile. All Trek is good. Yeah. A Picard. You think a Picard Prodigy crossover would be so cool. In what would be the threads? We'd have to see that. Dr. Pepper was Splenda. No, it used to be, the only thing I ever saw Splenda in was Diet Coke. And that went out the door with the pandemic, and it's never come back. And they never answer my social tweets about what's happening. This is just regular Diet Dr. Pepper, though. And so my brain cancer is coming along much faster than it would have, with aspartame versus Splenda. But there you go. I would love to have a Splenda soft drink again, but every time I do that, the Splenda account retweets it, but it's crickets with Coke and Diet Coke. The Captain Helm banter is some of the best. Absolutely. Yeah, M. Ortega. Oh, Melissa. What is Ortegas' first name? Oh no, you are terrified you're going to have to cancel the cruise, but you might be needed elsewhere. Oh, Jared. Well, hang in there, buddy. ADT is tomorrow. Yes. Oh, and I hope things go well with his eye surgery. Yeah. I might have thought about having it next week, but it's fine. I thought about moving it for this, but we'll see. Oh. Well, gang. That's interesting. Oh, I see why. I think for a long time I thought open house was going to be on the 16th, and I didn't want to do them both in the same day. And that's probably why I first moved it back to this week. Well, I haven't set it out officially. We could hold off till next week. Next week is going to be yes. Okay, then we'll just say next week, and I won't I'll be free here. Okay, executive decision. She'll have these loosey-goosey months. We'll wait till next. We'll wait till the 16th, Oklahoma Statehood Day. Now that I know. And don't even get started on Doctor Who. Well, then I won't. Big Finish Audio has made more hours of Doctor Who than the BBC has, and in all the eras. Okay, gang. I think we've probably been at it. I know I was very late. Oh, I think we've been over an hour. Okay, looking for questions. Well, Tim, I just said that. I would do Founding of the Federation Romulan War, and I would do Star Trek West Wing. And if not that, then I would find something to I wouldn't just say mid-century Archer Kirk or Kirk Picard, but I would find something to hang it on. I've always wondered what the disaster was at Station Salem 1, which in my headcanon was what started the Romulan War, but people in different versions all think that Romulans attacked Starbase 1 in 2 or 3 different editions. But I would love for this saga of Station 1 being a surprise attack like Pearl Harbor. I would love for that to be explained somewhere. Well, there you go, Mona. You always have your first Trek that you knew and the one that you get to see along. You and everybody else are in the same boat. Nobody knows it better than you do. And that's always very powerful for a lot of people. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking for... Oh, that was weird. Can I do this? Boom. No, I am not Doctor Who. No way. My friend James is far more of a Doctor Who than I am. You mean the Stars at Night? Oh. We have a New Jersey class. I guess so. I'm just, like I said, I'm just house sitting. Phantom texter Jonathan, I'm just house sitting. We are. Well, that's fine. Discord was created by gamers. Okay. Well, I've never had a gamer's head mindset, so yeah. Oh, does Cadet Alice have any interest playing the Star Trek Prodigy video game? If so, are you planning to have her on to talk about it? I would have to go chase it down. I haven't had any contact with it since it's a video game. And video games have always been... STO is the shining example, finally, for 12 years, but for the early decades of video games, they were all very disposable and, kind of a nice shiny thing on the side, but they didn't really mean anything. And some of them were better than others, meaning some were much worse. But I will look into that, Sting, where everything is such a much better quality, and they are trying to find, Kirsten's trying to oversee the intersection of all of that. Well, you want to see the Con and Exile miniseries. It's supposed to be a podcast. I don't know how, hopefully lushly produced on podcast level. Contractual obligation. Yeah. Well, he seemed to be more like, he said for now, meaning that the reaction, like it was kind of a slow motion pilot in a new paradigm. So we'll see. But I agree. Totally. Oh, it's basically an Enterprise podcast, and she has guests on. Rod gave a great interview. We'll tell her to yell at me somehow, and we would let's see. What now? Do you mean the ship's names or the episode title? Oh. How about a Welsh class or the Wales class? I think it would be. They'd have to hire Welsh actors to pronounce the ship names. Yeah, they wouldn't have enough room on the ocutogram spaces. Wow. Let me see. Is this easier? Why is my line so tiny over here? Oh, Perry Como. Yeesh. I guess, did he have the most popular hit of that? I just think about choruses and the Texas band playing at OU Texas and stuff. Okay, well then we'll keep it. We'll keep ADT there. We'll see, because later on this month things will be getting crazier and crazier. And that's one thing I can do simply here on the run. We will keep European Midday Ask Dr. Trek tomorrow. Then I've got to get the mailers out. Okay. I'm going to leave the Discord dissection. Oh. Diet right? Use Splenda? I will look into that. I shall consider it. Okay. Gang. Well, I didn't. I have an interesting body sometimes, and I did not gain weight from that. Yay, tons of minutes. Oh, Becca, it'd be interesting, but they'd have to have somebody else play Patrick, and maybe what's his name would, but I just want to go places that have not been touched at all. Yeah. Okay, gang, I am looking. Oh, okay. I've done this kind of thing. Oh, hey, Glenda, good you could pop in. Yay. Okay, allergies. Yeah, that's the flagship of the Wales class. Okay, I think we're there, gang. And yes, I'm on the road, but I do want to. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining us today. That was kind of all over the place, wasn't it? And I'm going to remember what I often forget. Glinda, you want to see a Trek MASH crossover? Yeah. That's fun. That would be an interesting bit. I thanks everybody. Thanks for coming in and finding me on the road, which I guess was the same. Thanks for your patience. And thanks especially to all of our Patreon folk, right? Our TTL club there, Diana Hopkins, Lawrence Todd, Keith Rombach, Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Anne Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, Andrew Jazimski, and Pranakasha Productions, and our live wires, Rusty Harold, Hubbard Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hoency, J.R. Poole, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory, Gay Clevin Lundstrom, and Casey Shafsky. Thanks so much. I need to update that. I think we've had some changes, and I apologize to all the changees. When I'm home, we will get that updated. But for now, a lot of those folks have been with us, so it's fine. And if you want to be in the bunch, wow. Too hot. Soft light everywhere. If you want to be in with us, it's patreon.com/Trekland Live, $5 and $10 a month. Get you a shout out. And we are actually really working on that access, gang. The big thing I should have said up front, and they're starting to come in now. Very excited about some special Trekland treks. This is especially for the cruisers in LA the day before and the day after they disembark and re-embark from the ship, the official Star Trek cruise next February. We've got a day, special LA away days, set tours to 4 classic location sites around LA. It's preset. I can take up to 18 on the single bus. We'll see how many we have. We've got folks have been putting in for it. So we're on the way on both days, as a matter of fact. So I expected the first one to be filling up faster. But anyway, you can go LarryNemechek.com, see the info, and check it out. Ask me questions if you have them. Also there, you can see what's happening here with the Geek Nation Tour, the big one, the West Coast Away Tour, the 10 days. It'll be in July. It's standalone, LA and San Francisco, with special guests. We've got celebrities lined up already. We'll be having some more of the actors and behind-the-scenes folks coming along later. That's all. You could even, what am I trying to do here? Boom. Do the QR code. That's all happening. And then, yay, the Trek Files is up. You can catch us at Trek Files with the document at Facebook. Of course, you can get the audio anywhere, but the documents are on Facebook. And it's at podcast.roddenberry.com. But our guest this week is Hannah Louise Shearer, who some of you will remember that name. She came in at midpoint of the first season, stayed for the first half of the second season, as it's Chaos on the Bridge days, and she's a sweetheart, and she had some interesting stories that came in and pitches and things that her name is on and things that her name is not on. But Trek Files is back as it is always Tuesday. We're in our 9th season. Check that out too. And everybody, I've been neglecting to remind you of our socials. The lighting in here is just bizarre. You can't tell. It's so shiny. At Larry Nemechek on Twitter, and it's really Larry Nemechek's Trekland on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Love for you to join us on Instagram. And if you're curious, I keep mentioning Portal 47 and our roundtables and guest night. Open house is coming up in the next few weeks. You do want to get into that. That's separate. If you want to join right now, that's cool. I'm just looking. I know I had it. Coming in November, we're going to announce the date very quickly. I've got the guest hashed out. Got some interesting guests coming up for our Portal guest nights coming up, led by our open house guests. But the open house is open to everybody. It's a free night for everybody to come in. We will have a mini Ask Dr. Trek roundtable. We'll have some giveaways like door prizes. You don't want to miss it. This is the 7th anniversary for Portal. It's how we celebrate that and let the world know what's going on. That and the Trekland Treks are happening, whether they're custom, as always, anytime, or these special ones that I announced. Love to have you come check all that. You can all get it at LarryNemechek.com as usual. The TeePublic store has been having these flash sales, so you almost never know, but we've got the Trekland store there too. With our logos on things, some fun stuff coming. We even have a holiday logo up for right now that'll go away for the holidays. I'm gonna have to get one of those. So as usual, thanks everybody for joining us on Tuesday. If you have not voted in the States yet, I urge you to get out there and do it. Vote like your future federation depends on it. Vote blue. Yeah, everybody, just whatever you do. Hey, they're talking about the recurrence of flu and the viral that's attacking the kids in a lot of states. Look, we're going to be in a period, it feels like, where our immunity is going to be under attack for a while. So just be smart. Just take care of yourself. Okay? Stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke to the world around you. Check the sources. You know what I mean. Maybe I'll see some of you on Mastodon soon, but I'm not leaving Twitter. Trek well, everybody. And we'll see you next week.